Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Going to talk about just basically everything that you love to watch between the squared circle, professional wrestling. What's not to love about professional wrestling? It's, at the same time, it could be so violent, it could be so violent, but at the same time, as a fan, it can bring back nostalgic feelings that a lot of times that you kind of walk through the day, you smell a particular smell, and you're like, "Oh, smells pretty good." Like, you know what I mean? For me, I know that's where professional wrestling lies, and I know a lot of you guys that are watching tonight have that same feeling as well. Other than that, why have you stumbled upon this podcast? If not, if you're new wrestling fans, you stumbled upon the right podcast because we talk about news, we talk about wrestling promotions like AEW, WWE, the GCW, New Japan Professional Wrestling, the CMLL, Ring of Honor, TNA. Basically, you get all your know-how on this podcast. So, welcome, welcome. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. First Sunday of the NFL season. A lot of storylines. I'm a wrestling fan. No, let me rephrase that. I'm a wrestling dork. So, storylines for me, I feel like outweigh like outcomes and fantasy points and stuff like that because I'm a wrestling fan. You know what I mean? So you hear a lot of these storylines you see on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night Smackdown, NXT, AEW, and you're like, dude, like, how is Aaron Rodgers going to do in his first season back with the Jets before the whole injury after the first series? It was pretty bad. What's going to happen with Patrick Mahomes fighting for that three-peat? There's so many storylines within the WWE, much like there's so many storylines within the NFL, and I'm like, oh my god, that'd be so kind of crazy. That'd be kind of crazy. But all in all, love the NFL, love wrestling. So yeah, let's dig on into it. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today on tap. We have our WWE Smackdown review. We have our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. And then we're going to talk about Vince McMahon's new Netflix docu-series. It's a 6-episode series, I believe. And it's going to talk about, when he was younger, all the turmoil in between, with him basically like kind of jumping from egomaniac to a businessman. And eventually kind of where you're seeing him now in, late 2022, early 2024, being, kind of held up with accusations and, allegations and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about, we're going to preview the series, which is going to air September 25th. We're going to preview that. And then we're also going to talk about our AEW All Out results and predictions. And then in our fifth and final segment, we're going to talk about this fan that's been petitioning that AEW was way too violent. AEW All Out was way too violent, and the company, in general, is violent as hell. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that as well. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Also hit up that super chat. 1,010% of whether if you have a burning question or just something you've been dying to get off your chest. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are 1,010% committed and hearing your guys' thoughts. We love it. We prelude to it. We love it. 1,010%. Make sure your voice is part of the show. Also, keep the conversation lively. Also, let's keep this party going. Don't be shy. Drop those thoughts inside that chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment, questions, or concerns gets noticed on the show, why not use that super chat box? It's that $ below the chat box. So you can basically, it's guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's an absolutely great way to support our channel. 1,010%. Always needs you guys. Your super chats keeps the lights on in terms of, all of our sports podcasts from wrestling to football to baseball to basketball. And 1,010%. We thank you guys. We thank you guys every single night. We are absolutely 1,010% super grateful for each and every one of you guys that follow us here and watch us on daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep the party going. Hit up those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make this show bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And of course, if the super chat thing is not your thing, You can always hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But all in all, criticisms, feedback is a gift. Feedback is a gift that, Superman punched out. Like and subscribe button to the show and follow the show, follow the network. And I guarantee, give the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that you will never, ever regret, being a part of such an amazing sports network that it's beneficial for both of us. So let's help each other out. Let's help each other out. All right, so we're going to talk about our first segment. We have our WWE Smackdown review. All in all, the final Smackdown on Fox. I thought it was great. All in all, I thought it was a pretty good episode. It was fitting to kind of have, a lot of big spots. There was a couple of big spots, Obviously, I thought there was going to be a little more star power. But all in all, it was great. It was, Fox has been so kind to WWE through the Thunderdome era, COVID. I can imagine when Fox signed a deal with WWE, they're expecting like, a lot, more of like a beneficial, like business wise. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't get that. I'm not saying that they didn't get that. But at the same time, when the pandemic hit and nobody was allowed to attend any WWE events, kind of broadcasting. I know a lot of the WWE universe was like, you know what? They're not letting fans in because of COVID because they don't want, you got to have precautions you got to be safe. You get social distancing. You got to, kind of preserve the lives of everyone in society. And it was, Fox. I give a lot of respect to Fox because, you turn on the clicker every Friday night, you're expecting, Fox, SmackDown, WWE is going to be live on Fox. And then, you look at something that, there's no fans. I think fans 1,010% make all of it. I feel like maybe that's the reason why they kind of alluded to the Thunderdome when he kind of had the face screens and all of that, which is kind of funny, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Right now WWE SmackDown and Raw are both going to be on the USA Network. So a lot of good things in the future with SmackDown. First and foremost, we have Cody Rhodes invite Solo Sikoa to come out in the middle of the ring. Already knows what's going to come. He's like, you know what? If you're going to come out here and attack me, why not do it to me face to face? Solo Sikoa came out and he said, and he had the nerve. He had the nerve to go ahead and say, if it wasn't for Roman Reigns, I would have won that match. When all reality, he probably would have. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not that great. Like, Solo Sikoa, he's not that great of a superstar. I feel like WWE pushed him way too fast. I feel for Solo. I do. Also, Jacob Fatu, the way Cody Rhodes was kind of rubbing him the wrong way. But, trying to drive a wedge between the bloodline. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was awesome as hell. And but all in all, you saw Jacob Fatu kind of surrender to his tribal chief. Well, his tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. Once again, you kind of saw Solo Sikoa kind of put Jacob Fatu down. He was in that spot where, even the fans love Jacob Fatu. Like where he came from, he's in and what you kind of see him being portrayed on SmackDown right now, his high flying abilities, the way he's, just the way he controls the match within a match, the way he's able to, kind of bring the fans in, but at the same time, kind of bring in, different WWE personnel to be like, we should push this guy. Because essentially that's what WWE superstars are doing. Of course, you go out there, you find out your spots, you find out your storylines, and you go out there and you do your damn job. But once again, you could still make yourself shine. It's not an indictment saying that Jacob Fatu just follow the rules. Don't shine. But I could see why overall WWE didn't want to debut Jacob Fatu too fast because of they were trying to build up Solo Sikoa and they didn't want him to outshine him. But I feel that I think it's already kind of taken its toll. I feel like Solo Sikoa right now and kind of forever. He's kind of a joke. I got to be honest, he's kind of a joke. I can't take Solo Sikoa serious every single time I hear his music come, like, and then he comes out, and then like, I'm like, dude, like, I can't take him seriously. I'm sorry. Like, and I like it once again. I do like Solo Sikoa, and I feel like he's a great superstar. I loved him in NXT. I thought it was pretty dope, and I loved his debut, and I loved him as Roman Reigns' enforcer. But I don't know. I just think something's got to give, and I don't think it's working out. I'm sorry. I don't really think it's, this whole Solo Sikoa thing is, it's not a right fit to the puzzle piece that's missing the pieces. You know what I mean? So, once again, you had, a nice confrontation between Cody Rhodes and, Solo Sikoa, who are going to fight on the season premiere of WWE Smackdown next Friday, on Friday the 13th. Ooh, Monster Day. Of course, and anybody who's a horror movie slasher kind of person, I'm there with you, 1010%. I was a Jason, number one. Number two, Michael Myers. Number three, I loved Freddy Krueger. I absolutely love 1010% Freddy Krueger. I thought, he was kind of like that in your face. But we're gonna see a steel cage match next week, so it should be pretty awesome. Should be pretty awesome. Next, we have Bayley take on Tiffany Stratton. Bayley, ultimately, capitalize on the mishap that you saw between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, distracting the referee while Bayley was able to get the 1, 2, 3. This union, this newly formed alliance between Mrs. Money in the Bank and the WWE Women's Champion, it's obviously it's going to come in fruition pretty quick. I don't really see this storyline going further than Bad Blood. I would eventually, maybe within the next couple of weeks on SmackDown, maybe finally these people, not these people, these two women kind of go at it. For me, Tiffany Stratton is an amazing superstar. I feel like she's definitely a future WWE Women's Champion. Nia Jax, as dominant as she is, for the storyline, it kind of makes sense. I feel like something's got to give. I want to see Tiffany Stratton kind of use that unpredictability, that essence of surprise, and come out and use that Money in the Bank. But at the same time, I want to see, next week or, next 2 weeks of SmackDown, I want to see Tiffany Stratton step it up. I want to see her look Nia Jax dead in the eye and be like, you know what, Nia? I'm not going to attack you. I want to face you one-on-one, no surprises, and find, may the better woman win. And ultimately, I feel like that's a coin flip match. A lot of people think that Nia Jax would get the dub, but I just don't see Tiffany Stratton of course, maybe there's a surprise element, like I was mentioning before, that Tiffany Stratton might cash in on Nia Jax, but as of right now, I don't really see any benefits of doing that. I think she challenges her to a match, like, straight up. And I don't know. I feel like it'd be better. I feel like it'd be better for her overall in her career to kind of be promoted by WWE, to kind of knock off a face like Nia Jax. It's I feel like that would be great. I feel like that'd be great for her character, her career, and just her future and stuff like that. So maybe that could be it. I don't see Nia Jax holding the title for way too long. I don't. I honestly don't. And it sucks because she's been with the company for such a long time, and I don't want to say the only reason why she still has a job with WWE is because of her family name. I'm not saying that. Overall, I do feel like she puts on good matches. I do feel like she puts others over inside the ring. And but I don't know. I just want to see this make sense. I just want to see the storyline make sense because I feel like WWE has built too much, built too much over it. All right, so next we have Giovanni Vinci against Apollo Crews. Not really much here. A lot of, WWE backstage, creative hating how this thing kind of went down with Giovanni Vinci. But, I really don't know how to make of this. I love Giovanni Vinci. I thought he was great in Imperium. Apollo Crews, I'm a huge Apollo Crews fan. But I don't know. It just seemed, all the hype for nothing, basically. All the hype. Next, we have a triple threat match between Kevin Owens and Austin Theory, Grayson Waller. Kevin Owens was kind of poking the bear a little bit in between Theory and Waller, saying that, basically, if it comes one-on-one, you guys cannot trust each other. It's not like I'm the only guy that's stabbing people in the back. And if you do have the chance to do it, you're going to do it. And that's something you saw between Grayson Waller and, of course, Austin Theory. And it was, and after the match, you saw Kevin Owens pick up the dub, but he was attacked by Austin Theory and Grayson Waller at the same time. So I thought it was kind of crazy. Next, we see a promo between, the LA Knight comes out, starts talking about how he's one of the hottest. WWE United States Champion Carmelo Hayes comes out, of course, confronts Knight. Then he had Andrade come out, confronts both of them. And now we're going to have a match next week on the first episode of, WWE Smackdown on the USA Network. We're going to have the final, it's tied 2-2. The winner gets a shot at LA Knight at Bad Blood. So it just seems, kind of fitting. Seems kind of fitting. Chelsea Green took on Michin. Piper Niven, of course, got in the way. Chelsea Green is a Canadian, she's of Canadian descent. So she picked up the victory. I thought that was kind of cool. Once again, WWE kind of showing the true colors in terms of letting the home team win. In the finale, we saw DIY and the Street Profits take on the Bloodline. The Bloodline, at first, it looked like a tornado tag team match. Jacob Fatu just looks so damn impressive. I love this Bloodline storyline, but Jacob Fatu is he's on a whole nother level. I'm sorry. I feel like WWE kind of made the wrong decision in pushing Solo Sikoa to kind of be this new young Bloodline kind of enforcer, kind of this leader. But Jacob Fatu just continues to overshine Solo Sikoa on a week to week basis. That's that's crazy. But you can't really blame Solo Sikoa. You know, at the same time, you're like, what could you do? As a wrestling fan, for me, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy into it. Solo Sikoa is the new quote unquote young tribal chief, but I'm not buying into it. Jacob Fatu was just so freaking special. Sorry, excuse me. Just so freaking special. Oh my God. He's definitely one of the most talented wrestlers on WWE Smackdown, and he could very much be a heavyweight or a main eventer. And that just comes into so many shocks because a lot of people think, oh, no, it's Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa is the tribal chief. What are you talking about? I don't believe it. I think he's a fraud. I don't think he's fit to wear that crown. Jacob Fatu obviously outshines him on a week to week, month to month, year to year, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, second to second basis. I'm just kidding. No, that was a little too rough. I'm sorry, Solo, if you're listening to this. Doubt you are, but I'm just kidding. But I don't know. I just feel like Jacob Fatu is I don't know. He's very special, very special. All right, guys. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. Obviously, it's airing right now on the USA Network. I have it pre-recorded right now. Can't wait to watch it. So, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds. So, hey, stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign. A sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign. A sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown. Get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign. A sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, from promotions from WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, GCW, and NWA. If it makes major news, wrestling headlines, we talk about it here. on this show. So just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Friday Night Smackdown review, the final Smackdown on the Fox network. And now we're going to talk about some WWE Monday Night Raw. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be totally stupid thick. But before we get into any of that, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat. Whether if you got a burning question or just, a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or just something you want to get off your mind. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are absolutely all ears. This show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy. Drop comments, your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed, why not use that super chat? Just hit that $sign below the chat box, send in your message, and it's guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel. Your super chats keep the lights on in terms of, kind of bring you guys even more awesome sports content, in this case, wrestling content. So we are absolutely 1,010% want to say thank you. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who join us daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going, keep the party going, put up those super chats, hit up those super stickers because you guys are super awesome, 1,010%. But then once again, if the super chat is not your thing, you can always hit up the GSMCpodcast.net, hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me some of your, predictions in terms of storylines, title runs, etc., etc. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. Of course, all the time we do love it, all the peace, love, and positivity. But if it's criticism, feedback overall is a gift. So give you the Rodriguez guarantee that you will never, ever, 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 ever regret subscribing to such an amazing company who brings you so much sports content that's absolutely 1,010% free. So don't be shy. Don't be shy. All right, WWE Monday Night Raw. We are live at the Scotiabank Arena in Saddle Dome in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We're going to see the excellence of execution here. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Bret Hart, live tonight. Should be interesting to kind of find out what he has to say. With these shows, I feel like there's, WWE made it prominent. They made it very, very prominent that they highlighted the whole season premiere. So I think you might see some SmackDown superstars. Like maybe I feel like they're gonna do a redraft. I feel like they have to, heading, because you have Raw coming to Netflix, cutting it down to a 2-hour show until the end of 2024, which we're gonna talk about tomorrow. I got a segment already lined up for it. But all in all, WWE right now, I ultimately feel like you have a lot of viewers. You already have a lot of viewers. You don't really have to kind of push the envelope too much. You don't have to jump into that PG-13 kind of, area. Like you don't have to do that. And I feel like WWE overall has done such a great job of doing that. But, with Bret Hart coming on tonight, I can imagine him, cutting a pretty good promo. Love it whenever Bret Hart shows his face in WWE because he's very controversial. He's very outspoken. He doesn't really have a filter in terms of what he thinks in professional wrestling because he's a professional. He was a huge star, in the 90s and even later 80s. No, I think early 90s, early 2000s before he ultimately got injured and was forced to retire. But there was even, backstage talks that Bret Hart feels like Triple H shouldn't be in the position he is in. He only got it because he was dating the boss's daughter. So, kind of having somebody like that be on one of your wrestling promotions, if you're Triple H Paul Levesque, you're kind of like, all right, let's see what this guy really has to say. Hopefully it's all good. Hopefully nothing really bad happens tonight. Nothing really comes into negative fruition. But it's going to be great. I feel like overall it's going to be a great episode of Monday Night Raw. Usually when WWE takes the time out, in their promos and they're like the season premiere or the season finale, you got to make it big. You got to make it big. So I think it's going to be great. Next, we have Dominic Mysterio taking on Dragon Lee tonight. The last time these guys faced, Dragon Lee dethroned Dominic Mysterio of his NXT North American Championship. So a lot of bad blood kind of coming in right in front of our faces. I can't wait to see Dragon Lee slap the taste out of Dirty Dom's mouth. I'm just kidding, no. But I feel like Liv Morgan will get involved. Obviously, the new Judgment Day will get involved. You're going to see the LWO get involved. And I feel like going into Bad Blood, you, I, you know, I don't know how many times they're going to revamp this. Dominic Mysterio taking on his father, Rey Mysterio, Bad Blood. Like, I don't know how long they're going to push that envelope. But if you don't have a one-on-one match, you can always have a team match. Maybe 3-on-3, maybe even a 4-on-4. I feel like LWO, Zelina Vega, you know, Cruz de Oro. I think it's Cruz de Oro. I'm not too sure. Don't want to mispronounce his name. But anyways, you're going to see the LWO taking on the Judgment Day. And, I want to see what they do in terms of, this whole Finn Balor thing. Finn Balor taking on Damian Priest. I still ultimately feel like these guys kind of owe it to each other to fight each other inside the ring. I want to see this match, Bad Blood. I don't want to see another, mixed tag team match. I don't want to, I don't know. I'm just, I had speculations that maybe Finn Balor or JD McDonough is injured. The reason why they haven't defended their WWE heavyweight tag team championships. But I feel like something's got to give. Something's got to give. So tonight, hopefully we start seeing some build up toward everything that was the backstabbing of Finn Balor going to Damian Priest, costing him the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther at SummerSlam. So I hopefully feel like they kind of tag on into that a little bit. Next, we have Zelina Vega teaming up with Lyra Valkyria with an opponent that is to be announced. I have no idea who it could possibly be, but I do have a couple of guesses for the pure, taking on the Pure Fusion Collective, the team of Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler. First and foremost, you saw Lyra Valkyria on WWE NXT come to the aid of Tatum Paxley. She could, restore the favor tonight. Also, Lola Vice. Lola Vice has a lot of beef, especially against Shayna Baszler. After she was the one who trained her, and it just kind of ended all bad after that. So that could possibly be it. But my best guess, you have Bret the Hitman Hart inside the building, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's got to be Natalya. It's got to be Natalya. I feel like the Queen of Hearts will make an appearance tonight on Monday Night Raw. Next, Drew McIntyre is expected to talk. I'm not really going to spend too much into this segment because we all know what's going to happen. Someone's going to talk. Someone's going to get injured. Someone's going to get attacked. Then vice versa. And it's just a wash, rinse, and repeat. Right now, I am not a huge fan of this storyline. I got to be honest. And especially with these two very talented superstars, I'm not into it. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to skip it. All right, we have the Wyatt Six taking on American Made. Uncle Howdy better be in this match. Better be in this match. He better be in this match. I don't want to see Roman. I don't want to see Gacy. I don't want to see Dexter Lumis, against Chad Gable and the American Made. Obviously, you're going to see Ivy Nile and Nikki Cross. But I don't want to see Uncle Howdy sitting out this one. If he does, I got to be honest. I feel like that's a step back. That's a huge step back trying to promote this new brand that you're and this new stable that you're trying to build up so damn much. You have the new episode of Monday Night Raw. Something's got to give. You also have the, Raw going to Netflix. Something's got to be better. Just overall for the future, overall for the betterment of the faction, trying to restore the legacy that Wyndham Rotunda left once when he passed away, which is Bray Wyatt, rest in peace. Something's got to give, and they're under a lot of scrutiny right now. People are honestly, kind of analyzing it with like a microscope, but something's got to give tonight. Something's got to give. All right, WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. We have Bianca Belair with Jade Cargill taking on Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Belair and Cargill are going to easily retain. Not really much of a get into that. And we have the number one contenders match for the Intercontinental Champion, Braun Breaker, probably heading toward, Bad Blood. You have Ilya Dragunov, Jey Uso, Strowman, and Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne is too busy in NXT with Trick Williams. And then Strowman I feel like once when you have Bronson Reed come back right now, he can't be medically cleared because he has COVID. But when he comes back, he's going to come right after Strowman. Ilya Dragunov and Jey Uso are probably your best bet. I would probably think it's going to be Jay, because, recently you've seen Sami Zayn kind of want to dethrone that three-headed dragon, slay the dragon Gunther for that WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And now the only person who might have any notes on how to fight someone like Braun Breaker is Sami Zayn. So Jey Uso and Sami Zayn are probably going to go into Bad Blood fighting for titles. I feel like both of them will come up empty. And that I feel like they will eventually, challenge Jaden McDonough and Finn Balor for those WWE World Tag Team Championships. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. Like I said, I have not checked a single shred of social media, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. I have no idea what's going on Monday Night Raw. But all in all, kind of crazy, kind of crazy. All right, now we're going to talk about AEW All Out reaction, give you guys the results. We're going to dive deep into some of the matches. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and out. All the action inside and out in terms of, GCW and NWA, TNA, Ring of Honor, WWE, AEW. Basically, if it makes major news, professional wrestling headlines, we talk about it here on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. But got to be honest, I did make a mistake. Our third segment, I don't know why, I feel like whenever I click down on the clicker, it randomly just goes up, and I'm like, it's not segment 4 already. Maybe I feel like this OBS system, this studio is trying to kick me off. You know what I mean? They're like, Eric, you talk way too much, man. No one gives a crap about what you feel about everything on AEW. I'm just kidding, no. But no, I don't know, it's just kind of crazy. This third segment, we have Netflix docu-series. We got a preview. We have Mr. McMahon. I feel like a lot of what you're going to see on Netflix might rattle the cages a little bit. But of course, before we get into that, hit up the super chat, guys. Hit up the super chat because you guys are super awesome. Obviously, hitting up those super chats keeps the lights on in terms of this podcast. We are absolutely 1,010% nothing without you guys. So we are grateful for each and every one of you who tune in daily at the GSMC Sports Network. We got a bunch of great shows. And we just got something I want to get off your mind. Give me some of your hot takes in terms of professional wrestling. Give me some things that, maybe you feel like it's a concern with Vince McMahon's, new documentary series on Netflix. But all in all, this is our podcast. It's our podcast. Let's make this podcast bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Hit up those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And once again, if that's not your thing, hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Go ahead and Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But of course, even if it is criticism, it's all gravy, baby. You know what I mean? Feedback is a gift. Feedback is a gift. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into our third segment. Vince McMahon's Netflix docu-series. Let's go ahead and chuck it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. All right. So that's not the right thing. I don't know why I did that again. All right, so for realsies, just testing you guys. Uh, we're gonna talk about the new Netflix docu-series. It's gonna be 6 episodes based on everything that is Mr. McMahon, and we are exactly 2 weeks away from from the debut, from the preview, not the preview, from the airing. So it should be pretty awesome. Netflix has dropped a highly anticipated, it's highly anticipated for its upcoming just basically everything in terms of Vince McMahon, a docu-series about Vince, a 6-part series to capture who Vince was, exactly what man he grew up to be, and how it affected overall everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the bad, all the good. It's gonna be great. I feel like it's good. I can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to watch it. WWE, which is, kind of crazy. After WWE launched, well, I feel like Netflix more or less kind of launched this new Vince McMahon thing. Vince McMahon or WWE had no final say in the final cut. You know, I get it. I feel like it is a little more raw, and Netflix is ultimately kind of known for groundbreaking, documentaries. You see a lot of international, like you see Nollywood, you see Bollywood, you also see a lot of films from like Asia that are consumed by people who have Netflix accounts, and they're kind of like, you know, if it's the truth, it's the truth. You know what I mean? Like, so what if we're going to be producing WWE Monday Night Raw? Who cares? But at the same time, I'm like, is that really smart? Is that really smart knowing that this guy that maybe you're anticipating to bury on live TV, not live TV, but like, on one of the major streaming platforms in like TV movie history, Netflix. Is it smart, with this new contract with this new partnership with WWE? I feel like it's not going to be as bad as people project. And if it is, so God help my soul, because damn, I feel like, you got, like I said, Monday Night Raw is coming to Netflix. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. No one's going to want to watch an organization or a company that was brought up by, accusations, allegations about a womanizer. Also, a lot of people claim that he was a racist. People claim that, a lot of bad stuff. I don't think a lot of people are going to, dig into that. So it's going to be interesting to kind of find out the angle that Netflix is overall trying to. But then again, you can't facade the truth. You can't facade the truth. Overall, I feel like the truth will come out, and truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. But in terms of like a business standpoint, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. I don't know. Will they unveil the bad? Who knows? Vince McMahon, he ultimately made professional wrestling mainstream. He made controversial decisions in, during his personal, he had a personal bumpy life. Like, you know what I mean? He was a multi-billionaire, well, not was, I feel like he still is. He's a multi-billionaire person who owned a wrestling company. And, you know, you have a lot of the public eye just, drawn on you. Like, you can't really make a mistake. His wife, Linda, definitely, definitely endured a lot. Definitely. His kids, Stephanie and Shane. Shane McMahon for the longest time left WWE because of, according to the source, he said he was just done with WWE wrestling at the time because, when you see the McMahons in wrestling, it's kind of like, the silver spoon, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like any of these guys are actually physically gifted. It's not like, and then when Shane McMahon had his stint in WrestleMania about 2 or 3 years ago, when Snoop Dogg was there in the Miz, he tried to jump over the Miz and he tore his ACL or MCL. And like it was kind of like it was a laughing stock. It was terrible. Kind of like when Vince McMahon, I think it was during the 1996 Royal Rumble or something like that, where he came in to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin. He bumped his knee on the way inside the ring, and then like it broke, and he was like, crawling to Stone Cold. He was like, it's overall, it's kind of crazy, but that's what wrestling fans love to see. I love seeing controversy. I got to be honest. Um, with everything that Vince McMahon represented within the WWE, the way he tried so hard to just cover things up. Like I said, I'm not the one to be like, I don't want to throw WWE under the bus or Vince McMahon under the bus as well. Because at the same time, like they were talking about controversial, is that, you got yourself in a lot of trouble, dude. You gotta fight your demons. You gotta face them, head on. But then, there was some plus sides where he helped usher in this new attitude era. He helped win the Monday Night Wars. He ultimately, sacrificed his family to be able to make WWE successful, his daughter get inside the mix. Eventually, she will fall in love with one of the wrestlers. Had your son Shane inside it, your wife Linda, and he gave a lot to this wrestling franchise. 1,010%, and that's something that you got to respect Vince for. Yeah, it's not all that jolly. You know what I mean? Wasn't the greatest guy. Wasn't the allegedly, like you kind of have to say allegedly because it's not being really been kind of formally proven and anything like that. No slander here on this show, but I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to me. Kind of crazy. All right, so basically, we're going to see the early years of Vince and what he did to make WWE into the successful conglomerate it is today. Formerly, kind of monopolizing the professional wrestling industry, buying WCW, buying ECW, the top three contenders in terms of professional wrestling in the early 2000s, late 1990s. And it was smart. It was smart. It was exactly what he should have done. Could it have been betterly placed? Yeah. I feel like, I kind of come off thinking that I feel like Vince McMahon, the moment he absorbed WCW, he shouldn't have said anything. He shouldn't have, said a soul. A lot of fans were buying into this Monday Night Raw, Monday Night Nitro, kind of back and forth, the dual action here. And you could have had that going for such a long time. And imagine an invasion, a different invasion, where you didn't bury all the WCW superstars or the ECW superstars or the Alliance or anything like that. Like, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. People saw things that were happening to stars, like someone like Sting. Sting saw what was happening and he was like, you know what? No, thank you. I'm not going to touch any of that. I'm good. I don't want to go to WWF and basically be like laughed off the stage. F that, dude. I'm done. I don't want to do that. You saw, returning people like, Scott Hall or Hollywood Hulk Hogan, who saw exactly what was happening with WCW stars going to WWF. You're like, you know what? Nah, man, I'm good. I'm going to try my luck in TNA. You know what I mean? Eventually, Diamond Dallas Page did make it to WWF, but at first he was kind of like, you know what? I don't trust that. I don't like that. I don't think that's great. I feel like overall my character will, kind of get pushed under. But then somebody from WWE was like, you know what, Diamond Dallas, you will be taken care of in WWE. I guarantee you 1,010%. The grass is indeed greener on the other side. And guess what? He got booked. Yeah, dude, you get to fight the Undertaker. That's awesome. You're so great. Diamond Dallas Page comes from WCW, one of the dominant WCW superstars. He gets to fight the Undertaker, but no, he's not the person that kind of confronted to confront the Undertaker. No, Mark Calloway. No, he's not. You're not going to do anything like that. Guess what? You're gonna stalk his wife. Oh my god, so good. Storyline so good. You're gonna stalk his wife, and then you might have a match where he beats the hell out of you, and you kind of just have to take it. Like, you can't really, the Diamond Cutter. No, we don't want any of that. Oh, any moves that you've learned throughout your whole wrestling career? We don't want any of that. You're basically gonna get your ass kicked by the Undertaker. Sorry, but that's Vince McMahon. Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, but it was just bad. It was just bad. Monopolizing professional wrestling was terrible. I thought it was the worst decision possible. But now obviously what you've seen WWE kind of become, it's better. I feel like it has become a little better. With WWE NXT collaborating with TNA, you have WWE PLEs happening in France and Germany and Scotland. Puerto Rico. You have some in Mexico City, in Japan. Like, it's something that should have been done a long time ago. But overall, I guess eventually they got the hint. But anyways, kind of running out of time on this segment. So we got to, kind of fast forward here. Netflix will share basically the same darker moments in Vince's life as opposed to some of the brighter moments. So that should be, that kind of makes wrestling and WWE a little nervous because they didn't really have a say on Final Cut. Vince McMahon's resignation in 2022 on allegations of hush money to former WWE stars in which he had affairs to, kind of, tarnished his relationship. A year later, he came back to WWE as an executive chairman. WWE and TKO Group Holdings, bringing them together. And then eventually he kind of came back into WWE, and then he was in the public eye only to kind of be rubbed out again. He resigned again in 2023 after the FBI opened an investigation on the accusations of sex trafficking by a former WWE employee, Janelle Grant. Obviously, that's kind of what you're seeing right now, happening right now with him, John Laurinaitis, and recently Brock Lesnar has kind of been clear. I don't know if it's 1,010% true, but kind of been cleared. But during this documentary, we have over 200 hours of interviews. We're going to see insights to the business strategies, personal relationships, and blurred lines between his real life persona and the on-screen egomaniac you see that is Vince McMahon. It's directed by Bill Simmons, person who directed the Tiger King, with Carol Baskins. Yeah, we're gonna and it's gonna dive into ultimately how Vince McMahon's legacy in professional wrestling will both be celebrated and absolutely tarnished because of its dramatic and controversial issues and perspectives. So, a lot, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to watch it. Like I said, 2 weeks exactly to this date away from the, Netflix launching the docu-series, a 6-part episode of Mr. McMahon. So make sure you catch that. All right, guys. So, hey, that was my third segment. Don't go anywhere because now we're going to talk about my fourth segment. We're going to talk about some AEW All Out results, and also I'm going to give you guys some of my reactions, some of the potential storylines that could be actually come above in terms of everything that you kind of saw. So hey, do not go anywhere. Don't move those beautiful fingers. Don't click away. Don't go. Damn it! I just lost 4 viewers. Why did you have to go? I'm just kidding. I'll be back. So hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. It's here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. And to make sure, you follow the GSMC Sports Network, follow the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast so you can get more awesome content, a lot of sports shows. We have baseball, basketball, football, 2 football shows. We have sports all around. You also have a soccer podcast by my boy, Emran. That's, in about 38 minutes. So make sure you tune into that. So, so let's go ahead and dig on into some AEW All Out results. I'm going to talk about some of my reactions. I feel like all in all, it was great. It was a great pay-per-view. I dig it. I feel like it was, I feel like I loved it. I feel like it was pretty great. So yeah, let's go ahead and dig on into our first match here. We are obviously live in Chicago. I think it's Chicago, right? Chicago? It doesn't really say. But the All Out event featured the 0 Hour. You saw the Acclaim defeat the Iron Savages. And obviously, Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and Hologram they're a pretty good team. They're a pretty good team. I watched highlights. I have not yet, I did not really watch in depth All In. I watched a little bit of All Out. I feel like there was a hell of a lot of, a lot of highlights for All Out because of all the controversies and stuff like that. So I was able to watch a good deal of it. The Bang Bang Gang defeated the Dark Order. There's no doubt in my mind. They're going to see the Bang Bang Gang once again become pretty awesome, pretty damn awesome. You're going to see, you saw the Undisputed Kingdom win. You also, notable moments. You saw the way MXM collection was shown. Watching TV backstage was actually pretty hilarious. MX, collection, the WWE usually had I think Mansoor, and then Bayley and I believe was the other guy. And oh my God, I can't believe the other guy's name. But overall, it just didn't really work. It's going to be interesting to see what, how AEW kind of introduces this. But then you saw a match. You saw an amazing match between MJF and Daniel Garcia. MJF ultimately picked up the victory, but this was great for Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia had an amazing match. It's going to be a proof for him to have future title shots, future shots at the AEW TNT Championship, future shots at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, maybe even Ring of Honor, maybe the CMLL. The sky's the limit. Sky's the limit 1,010%. It had the build up. It really, MJF could build up any kind of match. You saw him on AEW Dynamite where he was kissing the forehead of a beaten, battered, and bloody Daniel Garcia. He was the blood was dripping from his mouth like a freaking vampire. It was kind of cool. But MJF is one of the loudest trash talkers in professional wrestling, and AEW, they have him, and I feel like ever since he kind of made his way back to AEW, it's been pretty damn great. Next, you saw the Young Bucks defeat Claudio Castagnoli against Wheeler Yuta for the tag team titles. Obviously, this would be big. This would be big because of what happened later on in the show. But the Young Bucks once again defeat a tag team. Their match wasn't bad. I feel like overall, the Bucks defeated a Blackpool Combat Club. Some of the best wrestlers in AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, the CMLL. I love the Young Bucks. I do. I really do. And then you haven't really seen much of this whole elite thing. And not much of a surprise. Not much of a surprise at all, actually. I feel like the Young Bucks deserve better. I do. I think right now they're kind of like this one-trick pony where they have these same promos and it happens. You get the same style of fight inside the ring where they do the same moves. Even the Undertaker said in in a podcast that you don't really get much oomph from the Young Bucks. But before they really honestly kind of got comfortable with everything that was going on in AEW, obviously you had everything go down. Yeah, Cody Rhodes leave, CM Punk leave, and you kind of had to be someone who was going to step up. So then Tony Khan, and no blaming Tony Khan in this decision. He was like, you know what, the Young Bucks, Matthew, Nicholas Jackson, these boys from Rancho Cucamonga could definitely hold a stable that everyone's going to hate. People are going to draw in every week just to see these guys get their ass kicked, hopefully. But it doesn't really seem like Jack Perry seems like he's doing his own thing. Kazuchika Okada, the AEW Continental Champion, seems like he's kind of on his own thing. And then now you have the Young Bucks kind of fighting to, kind of save their careers. And, like I said, sucks. I love and respect the Young Bucks. I hate that they were put in this position where they, kind of had to play superhero, kind of had to be this Captain Save-A-Ho for Tony Khan's promotion of AEW. Like I said, with Rhodes gone, with Punk gone, MJF injured. Also, you had Samoa Joe leaving. You had Kenny Omega going down for surgery. Hangman Adam Page's, suspension. And it's kind of crazy. But overall, I love that the Young Bucks won. But, I just want to see something better. I just want to see something better for them. Will Ospreay defeated Pac for the AEW International Championship. This was pretty great. I thought overall, I watched highlights of this match. This match was probably the best on the card. A lot of high flying. I thought that definitely was pretty awesome. You're going to see Will Ospreay finally take a blow against, you're going to see Ricochet kind of find his way into that storyline. Kind of, especially with this whole thing going down between the Blackpool Combat Club, and the patriarchy. And now, right now, these trios matches are getting more attention, getting more, intense. So I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be pretty cool. Willow Nightingale taking on Chris Statlander in a Chicago Street fight. Statlander obviously defeated Willow of Nightingale, and I knew this was kind of, I knew that Willow Nightingale was going to lose. She put up one hell of a match, though. This match it was great. It was great. I did watch this match. This match was absolutely 1,010% something that was, got you your bang for your buck, paying for pay per view. Well, I've been a huge star. I've been a huge believer of Willow Nightingale ever since I laid my eyes on her. Becoming a new AEW fan. I was like, you know what? I love this girl. I love what she's about. You kind of see her posting on social media where she went to a wrestling club in a high school. And kind of introduced herself. Everybody knew who she was. It was, it's special. Not a lot of people can connect to the fans like that. And Willow Nightingale is one of those baby faces who can. Chris Statlander did such a great job too as well. Even Stokely, that song. But just kidding. No, I feel like this match was definitely one of the best matches you've seen in on an AEW PLE card in terms of the women's division. So kudos to them. Kudos to them. All right, we saw Kazuchika Okada defeat Orange Cassidy, Konosuke Takeshita, and Mark Briscoe for the Continental Championship. Not really much to say about this match. I'm impressed of how Kaz Okada is still making a name for himself. I had a lot of doubt. I did have a lot of doubt, thinking that he was going to eventually kind of make it toward the wayside of AEW because he's not the same guy from New Japan Professional Wrestling, and that's something that AEW should have picked up on a long time ago. 1,010%. They should have been like, you know what? Kaz Okada is one of the hottest free agents that we've ever picked up, and now we kind of have him in bullspit bookings, and in promos where he's partying with Mercedes Moné, and where he's like, "Oh, Mercedes Moné, oh my god!" Like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense for Kaz Okada to kind of do all that. So I want to see him inside the ring, and I want to see him wrestle. Speaking of Mercedes Moné, we saw her defeat Hakura Shida for the TBS Championship, retaining. This match was also actually one of the worst matches on the card. It was pretty terrible. After you saw encounters once again, she got herself disqualified with the kendo stick, but decided not to. The momentary lasp allowed Mercedes Moné to produce the moneymaker for the win. It's just. I don't know. It just seemed it was one of those matches where you had interference happen and then like stuff happens, sorry, excuse me. And then you're like, you know what? That sucks. It was a horrible match. But she's also a heel. So I feel like whenever a heel kind of wins a match kind of blotchy, you can't really blame them for doing that because at the same time, you got to respect the heel for doing anything and everything to win their matches. But overall, I thought it was kind of crazy. Bryan Danielson defeated Jack Perry for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. But then after the match, you saw Jon Moxley, you saw Claudio Castagnoli and Pac and Wheeler Yuta come into, they were trying to congratulate Bryan Danielson on his first ever AEW World Heavyweight Championship defense. But they turned on him. They turned on him. Jon Moxley put his head in a bag, suffocating him, and it was really intense. It was crazy. 1,010%. Wheeler Yuta really honestly didn't want any part of it. But it's clear now that the stable that Jon Moxley has between Pac, Castagnoli, and Marina Shafir, the Problem, Ring of Honor, it was kind of crazy. Even the fans were chanting like, "This is murder. This is murder." So all in all, it was a pretty crazy match. All in all, in terms of professional wrestling, depending on what kind of wrestling fan you are, it kind of rubbed people the wrong way. We're going to get into it in our next segment. All right, and finally, we have Hangman Adam Page defeating Swerve Strickland in a lights out cage match. You've seen, from stabbing someone in the head to chair shots to freaking, shots to the mouth, and like it was wow. It was absolutely nuts. It was crazy. It was something that a lot of wrestling fans were like, man, is AEW too violent for me to watch and for my kids to watch? Which is why we're going to talk about it now. So don't go anywhere. In our fifth and final segment, we're going to talk about how a lot of people, how somebody has a petition trying to, ban AEW programming off the air. We're going to dig into that when we come back. So, hey, do not go anywhere. All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the GSMC Sports Network. Here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage drama, backstage, storylines developing. We also talk about superstars and their contract statuses, inactive reports, and also their injuries and, negotiations and stuff like that. So, but just going to reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Smackdown review. We had my WWE Monday Night Raw preview. Sorry, excuse me, I just ate right now. Oh my God. Our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. Then we talked about we talked about Vince McMahon's new docu-series on Netflix and what to expect from that. So make sure you check that out. We also talked about AEW's All Out. And now we're going to talk about, was AEW's All Out too violent? So, let's go ahead and dig on into it. All right. So recently, obviously, you saw last Saturday, if you weren't watching, too much college football, you were tuning into AEW's All Out. And had a lot of intense matches, a lot of intense spots that a lot of wrestling fans are starting to think if this is a product that they want to watch. Is this the sort of product that they want their kids to watch? Because of everything, kind of surrounded. It was kind of crazy. The brutality of the PLE sparked a lot of controversy, and it was kind of crazy. Some fans are now calling for AEW programming to be terminated. The lights out match between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page in a steel cage was one of the biggest matches that a lot of people didn't like. Swerve Strickland stabbed Hangman Adam Page in the head. Page retaliated with the syringe in the mouth and in the face and a chair shot to end the matchup. Ultimately, earlier you saw Jon Moxley try to suffocate AEW World Heavyweight Champion Bryan Danielson, and even the fans were chanting like, "This is murder, this is murder," and it's just kind of crazy. One fan, she has a target of 50 signatures, and it's more than halfway full. A lot of was it worth it? Was the juice worth the squeeze? I ultimately feel like maybe they went overboard just a little bit, but that's a lot of what AEW is. Like, they're going to be featured on HBO Max. They're going to be featured on, TNT. It's not really a company that you shy away from negative publicity from. You know what I mean? A lot of the time, and even in terms of Turner Television, and it's been true for the longest time before, even when they teamed up with the Jim Crockett Promotions back in the early 80s, they weren't afraid to kind of show something on television that didn't keep you on the edge of your seat, first and foremost, but also at the same time, it shocked you. It shocked you. It's that shock factor that wrestling fans absolutely 1,010%, they eat it up. They eat it up. You can have all the promotions in the world, all the all the trash talking, but then once when it comes into a fight in the ring, one person wins the other person. You're like, oh, okay, that's what it was all made up to be. But no, these guys generally hate each other, and that's something that a lot of AEW fans understood after you saw Swerve Strickland, invade the house of Hangman Adam Page. Hangman Adam Page, burnt the house that Swerve Strickland, his childhood, house that he saw his mother lose, and it was foreclosed, and she couldn't do anything about it. All this ethos, pathos, logos, kind of rhetoric that, in terms of, trying to persuade you to watch AEW. I feel like it, I feel like it paid a lot. I feel like it did pay dividends on AEW's All Out. I didn't think that they went overboard. For me, I feel like it was like it's wrestling with, you pay for pay-per-view. It's not like you're seeing this stuff on Dynamite, Collision, or Rampage. You're essentially paying for this. And so you kind of have to give people their pay dirt. Like, what I mean? You got to give them what they paid to see. And a lot of fans knew that this was going to happen with an unsanctioned match. That's huge. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, you guys are way too sensitive. I get it. I have kids as well. I don't want them watching this kind of stuff you see right there in front of you right now. But also, kind of coming in fruition here, you know, you see a lot of murder. You see a lot of violence. You see a lot of things in terms of movies, TV shows. Sometimes I have to even limit my kids on watching things on YouTube because you kind of look at some of the shorts that they have on there and you're like, dude, like, this is just mind rot. This is brain rot right here. It's rotting kids' brain. And it's bullspit. Like, it's something that you're like, you know what? I don't want you, I don't want you doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could, a lot of kids, especially nowadays with technological advances in the digital era being so prominent, and to the point where if you don't have a cell phone or if you don't know what's going on in the YouTube world, and if you're in high school or middle school, you're kind of labeled as an outcast. You're a loser. And it sucks. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. But with this new, it kind of forces you to kind of put a hold on social media, on streaming services and stuff like that. But at the same time, I feel like it overall reflects on what you are teaching your kids in terms of values at home. I did a research study about violent video games possibly causing, children to become school shooters. And that was the huge rap for me growing up. For me, and I know 1,000 times that this is a touchy subject, so I'm not going to get too into it. But most of the time, there was underlying mental health issues due to problems at home. You're playing Call of Duty. You're doing all this stuff. You're watching violent television. You're kind of seeing things, and and the producers of the games, the producers of the movies and the television series, by all means, they're not being like, oh, I care about what how this reflects and how this is going to, and be a figment of imagination for your children, whether they dream about it at night or they not. This is something that they just see dollar signs. They see dollar signs. They're like, you know what? We can sell a lot of this because kids are into this nowadays. And it's crazy. And like most of it is indeed, you see this imagery on the screen. So yeah, I'm not 1,010% saying that it's not going to happen or just something absolutely negative. Like I mentioned before, I would never let my, kids kind of see this kind of stuff, on TV. Obviously I watch it, but I'm kind of old enough right now. My brain is semi-developed. You know what I mean? I'm not, semi-developed. No, but overall, like they don't gotta see this crap stuff yet. You know what I mean? Like when I mean stuff or crap or whatever, I'm not saying wrestling, not at all. Professional wrestling, it's a storyline. It's a storyline, and it should be respected. And AEW does have they do have the overall kind of modus apparatus of kind of being a little over the top, but that's what's getting them ratings. They're not appealing to kids. They're PG. They're way beyond PG-13. I believe when they go to HBO Max, maybe they might even push it a little more. A lot of fans think because, you see these figurines on every Walmart, Target, shelves where people, where kids want to buy these action figures, where you have the Hangman Adam Page, where you have John Moxley, where you have a lot of, a lot of kids that are looking up to these superstars and they're like, oh, if we're gonna fight somebody, I want to stick a syringe into somebody, but overall, I do feel like it does kind of reflect on what exactly is happening inside the home life. And, 9 times out of 10, violent behavior in teens, in young adults, and especially within kids is what's happening at home. Like it's like a blanket statement to say, or it's like a cop out. It's like a cop out to say, oh, it's just violence on video games. But, doing the research, it backs it up. It backs it up that that's not necessarily exactly what's happening. Like of course there are always those, there's always maybe that is maybe that is what happens. Maybe that's exactly what happens. And for that, Godspeed, God, I entertainment in the world today is, oh, God. Like if you're not limiting your children to like what they're watching on TV, essentially, you kind of have to, take that blame sandwich and eat it yourself. But most of the time, a lot of people just like, stick their kids in front of the TV, give them their tablets, let them play phones, let them play Roblox, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not hating on that. My kids play Roblox too. But it's just much like everything in life, it's an easy, even, kind of keel with a healthy parents that love them. It's I know this world. I know this world, society, human nature. It's not always like that, and it's a damn freaking shame. Like I said, we're not a political podcast. We'll talk about wrestling, but just to wrap it up real quick. But I it's crazy how some people kind of act with their kids and so like I don't know. It's just, like I said. Anyways, talking about wrestling. So, anyways, so the fan also expressed her deep concern over the graphic acts of violence. She made accusations of racism, violence toward women, and she said this, and I quote: "I am drafting this petition out of poised concern. As a horrific viewer, I witnessed AEW broadcasts involving graphic disputes in violence and murder, including a scene where a man was suffocated and another man had a needle stabbed through his face. That I gotta be honest, that's intense. Yeah, you're not wrong for thinking that. You're not wrong for not wanting your kids to watch that or like to, kind of prevent other kids of kind of having to endure that. It makes an impact on viewers, and something that WWE, the reason why they are so successful is because they appeal to young viewers. During the John Cena era, you had a whole bunch of kids like John Cena. Obviously, right now in AEW, you don't have anybody like John Cena. Or I'm not trying to say every wrestling promotion should have this John Cena kind of personality. But overall, like it's kind of hard. It is kind of hard, especially if you're a wrestling promotion trying to, kind of become, trying to become successful, and the lady in the petition they cited the American Psychological Association highlighting long-term effects on violent media when children consume it. The level of violence on AEW is actually, it is pretty high. It is pretty high. But once again, it was a pay-per-view. It was a pay-per-view. 1,010%. Tony Khan refused to answer any questions about the subject matter. And this is something that they got to think about in terms of their TV rights, like we were talking about before. Television streaming services like on HBO Max, they see violence on TV and movies, yeah, but you also don't want to, think that that's like a way for you to get out of it. Like, you know what I mean? At the same time, you kind of have to protect your franchise. And like I said, people do, they buy action figures, tickets, merchandise. So a lot of times, I feel like AEW is not off the hook, but at the same time, I feel like they're not really under much scrutiny as a lot of people might hold them accountable for. But like I said, it's pay-per-view for a reason. I remember during the Attitude Era, I remember when WWF, they pushed the envelope as well. They weren't the only ones. 1,010%, like even before, with the women, and it's, I don't want to mention too much of it. Like I said, I don't want to, ruffle any feathers out there. But I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. What entertains people and what doesn't. If you're trying to appeal to the masses, obviously the age demographic between wrestling fans is age 19 to 41. So, trying to appeal to a younger audience, I feel like is a must. 1,010% is a must. But at the same time, always check out the ratings on the television, find out what's going to happen at, pay-per-view. If you're buying something on pay-per-view, especially a wrestling event or like a UFC or boxing, it's going to be unfiltered. I feel like it is going to be unfiltered. So 1,010%. Like when you go to the movie theaters and you buy a ticket stub and like, oh, this is rated PG-13 or something like that. Just got to pay attention. You just got to, look out for the signs. Make sure you teach your kids, right from wrong, and be like, okay, that's fake. It's choreographed. It's not what you see on TV is not real. And I'm the person to, say that because on the first episode of SmackDown, I watched the episode of SmackDown where Triple H was forced to run the gauntlet. I remember it was, for him to get in that six-pack match between in Unforgiven. He was trying to go for the WWF title. He was in a chokeslam competition, Inferno match, backstage brawl with Mankind, British Bulldog strap match. And then there was the casket match between Viscera and Mideon and Triple H. And I cried. I got to be honest, I cried. When Triple H was rolled into that casket, me, as a young wrestling fan, I thought he was dead. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? They're just showing this on live TV. What the hell? But in reality, it was like, dude, like he comes out of the casket and then he fights like 2 or 3 more matches. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, I get it. I get it. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me tonight. Like I said, we got my boy Emran's soccer podcast in 11 minutes, so do not go anywhere. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Like always, Superman punch that like a subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here, the GSMC Sports Network. We do love it all. Peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. If it is criticism, we love all feedback. Follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got basketball, off-season talk with my boy Nelson, the GSMC Basketball Podcast. All you fantasy goers out there, make sure you tune into Chris Shepard's GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast, where you find out your stardoms, your situms, your dropums, who to draft, who to trade for. You find out all that, even the spreads, the over-unders. Tune into that show if you want to, kind of groom up, maybe win some money. Anyway, we also got football, NFL. First week just ended with the New York Jets losing to the San Francisco 49ers, which was kind of a shock. I had my money on the Jets. Maybe I should have tuned into Chris Shepard's show to be, kind of steer the right way. But overall, we got Kenneth with the GSMC Football Podcast, my boy Manny with the GSMC Chip Shop Football Podcast. We got all around sports. We got sports by GSMC with Jeremy. We got the GSMC Sports Podcast with my boy TJ. We also have Tommy with college football, every Saturday. Kind of crazy. I've recently became a Texas Longhorns fan because one of the residents I care for at work, he is a huge Longhorns fan. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just adopt this team. They had a dominating win against Colorado State, and now they beat Michigan, which is actually pretty darn cool. I thought, that maybe I jumped on this bandwagon the right time. That'd be kind of crazy. Maybe I'm the good luck charm. Maybe, just maybe. Anyways, make sure you tune into all these podcasts. A lot of badass podcast people doing everything that's great. Obviously, I look up to these guys. I learn every single time I listen to them. So yeah, don't be ashamed to sign up for the GSMC podcast. GSMC Sports Podcasting Network. And just like random. This is random. I know it's not necessarily wrestling, but overall, growing up, I watched a lot of movies that had James Earl Jones. And I know a lot of people, James Earl Jones passed away today at the age of 93. From The Sandlot, when he was a blind guy, he had the dog Hercules, and, he had that iconic line where he's like, you know what, he's like, you're not in trouble, because Smalls was pissed off about how he knocked over that Babe Ruth autographed baseball into his yard. He's like, you're not in trouble. You're dead where you stand. In reality, he knew Babe Ruth. He helped them out. He got them a great baseball instead. It was pretty cool. The ultimate voice of Darth Vader. He was also Mufasa. And it was just, took a hit today. I got to be honest. When I saw that, I was a little shook. I know, James Earl Jones has been around the movie industry for such a long time, and why does this create relative simplicity in terms of wrestling fans? He's a storyteller. He's a main and born storyteller. A lot of times, you kind of hear his iconic voice in a lot of like narratives and stuff like that. So, God, rest in peace. thoughts and prayers are with James Earl Jones in heaven, also his family. So 1,010% got to respect the man they call, James Earl Jones. A lot of iconic movies. I definitely, I watched a lot of his movies growing up. So 1,010%, like I said, this is the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Stay beautiful. Most importantly, I love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit.